verse in Isaiah 66, and we're going to read verse 24. And they will go out and look on the carcasses of the men who rebelled against me, for the worms on them will not die. Do you not know that friendship with the world is enmity with God? Whoever, therefore, wants to be a friend of the world is making himself an enemy of God. So, what a clear warning. We don't want to have any friendship, whether socially or on social networks, with Jehovah's enemies. We're not friends of the world. We're Jehovah's friends. We're looking at him as our closest and most precious friend, and we never would want Jehovah to view us as an enemy. So, in conclusion, let's go back to that opening psalm that we looked at here, just to help this verse stay in your mind, we hope. Verse 20, just to emphasize this: but the wicked will perish, the enemies of Jehovah will vanish like glorious pastures. Particularly, they will vanish like smoke. So I thought this would be a nice memory aid to this verse stay in the mind. Here's what Jehovah's promising. Okay. As Jehovah's enemies, they're going to vanish like smoke.
How you doing, guys? Back in 2017, I had done a couple of videos, one on the JW dating scene, the other one on marriage. Early on, when I started studying my first year in, I heard about the dating rituals, the chaperones, the whole bit, the bedroom rules, and you only date with the intent of marrying, and with so many rules, I opted keep my private life out of the congregation. Not to mention, the selection was pretty poor in my circuit anyways. Well, I made it no secret. Now, I did a video also on leading a double life, which I opt more to call it leading a private life, which I believe Jay the comedian also did a video on that some time ago. I made it no secret that I was living my life outside of the organization. I was not exactly a kid, so they had to be really careful how they dealt with it. I made no secret about it, didn't go into details of what I was doing. I was just living my life. Well, one of the elders I used to go out in service with knew I was seeing one girl. She had a young son. I was going with her for some time, and we had a breakup. It happens. I was kind of in a mood about it, and I was down one day. We were out in service, and he asked me what happened. Well, I told her, yeah, she and I just had a breakup. We went our separate ways. He proceeded, I guess he thought he was being comforting when said, well, you know, come Armageddon, she and her son will probably be killed, and they will be eaten by maggots. I looked at him, I'm like, well, that's an interesting thought. That made me feel so much better. You know, granted, I wasn't happy with her at that moment in time, but I wasn't looking forward to her being killed. I was over it in a day. But this has to do with their teachings and their indoctrination. How many times have you been at the door with JWs and got the door slammed in their face? Oh, they're going to wish they had listened to us at Armageddon. And they had already judged them guilty. They were going to take their house after Armageddon. When the Great Tribulation hit and Armageddon was over, they were going to take their house. First of all, even amongst Jehovah's Witness teachings, biblical teachings, there is only one judge. Yet, Watchtower, in their infinite wisdom, has appointed themselves as judge, jury, and executioner. And this trickles down to the JWs as well. I've been listening for the last week about Tony Morris's last talk. And I just sat there this morning and watched it for the first time, the entire talk. Now, when I first became one of Jehovah's Witnesses, there was no JW Broadcasting. There was no JW.org. The governing body at that time, this is when they were called the Society, was shrouded in mystery. I didn't even know their names till about 2010, 2011. In all honesty, they should have stayed off camera and stayed shrouded in mystery, but they opted not to, because they've removed all doubt that they are the world's biggest asses on the face of the planet every time they speak. Now, the two that stand out the most, we have Stephen Lett, who could star in any horror movie on the planet because this guy can inhumanly contort his face that no other human could possibly do. Garrett Loesch, he's right to the reverse, because no matter what he says, he's got no facial expression. Then, of course, Anthony Morris. First, his tight pants talk, how homosexuals want all Jehovah's Witnesses in tight pants. You know, after looking at Jehovah's Witnesses all over the years, I don't think anybody wants to see Jehovah's Witnesses in tight pants. Then we had his weenie roast talk. And then, of course, Bottle King last year. Every time Anthony Morris gives a talk, you know something, it's in all honesty, Watchtower themselves are waking up Jehovah's Witnesses. Every time they give a talk, they are waking more and more people up. But listening to his talk about apostates, about adulteresses, about enemies of God. Let's talk about enemies of God. Let's talk about adulteresses. Let's talk about friends of the world. When Watchtower and Bible Tract Society became NGO members of the UN, they themselves became enemies of God. They became part of the whore of Babylon. And the sorry thing is, on the category of whores on this planet, Watchtower, you aren't even a high-class call girl. You aren't even a high-class whore. What you are is a $20 crack whore. You can deny your membership all you want. Everybody now knows it. You're the only ones in denial about it because the United Nations has no reason to hide that fact, and all you have to do is contact the United Nations to find out if indeed you were an NGO member. Library card my ass. No, you were and still are an NGO member of the United Nations. So that in itself makes you an enemy of God and friend of the world. Nobody is a bigger apostate than you. But to put yourselves as judges, and using the word apostate the way you do, labeling people who have left the organization, labeling activists that speak out against all of your crimes, just the fact that you've been hiding pedophilia in your organization for decades makes you a friend of the world and an enemy of God. But what you are doing is not spiritually uplifting. And as far as using the word sobering, Tony, have you ever been sober a day in your life? I think not. But as far as labeling apostates, I don't even like to use that word because your organization are the biggest apostates on the face of the planet. Every time you change your teachings, you make yourself an apostate. As far as the baptismal vows, no. Once you lied to those people who made those vows, that in itself was a breach of contract. Nobody wants to be part of a lie. This is why we have left. And the only people that believe your lies about the people who have left the organization are the indoctrinated JWs still in the organization. But keep talking. Keep coming out with these ridiculous talks at your morning worship on JW Broadcasting, because the more you talk, the more people you wake up. It's not us out here that's waking people up. We are not spreading apostate-driven lies. You are. And eventually, even the most indoctrinated JW is going to see what kind of BS you're shoveling, because that's all you are, is shoveling. And as far as your match and the disappearing smoke, well, very soon, Watchtower, you are going to vanish like a puff of smoke. But let's talk about the maggots. I think Jay, the comedian, just did a video on that last week as well. Okay, now you're trying to freak people out with maggots. This is part of your damage control. Scare, scare, scare. Terrified of maggots. No, they are not pleasant. Have you ever opened up a trash can with old Chinese food in it? There's maggots left and right. I got news for you. Everybody that has died and everybody that has been buried has been eaten by worms and maggots, and what do? They turn them into soil. But what you're trying to do is scare the indoctrinated JWs so they don't go anywhere. I can't say if I'm going to get killed at Armageddon. Maybe I am, maybe I'm not. But there is only one judge, and it is not you. Wake up. JWs, wake up. Do you really think that Anthony Morris and the governing body of Jehovah's Witnesses are all that spiritual? No, they are the biggest criminals on the face of the planet. They are more defiant than the Catholic Church. Even the Catholic Church is complying with many of the updated laws about their pedophilia problem. Watchtower is not. No, it is not isolated. It is a worldwide major problem. Many thousands of them hidden. You can say what you want, Watchtower, but no, you are the biggest apostates on the face of the planet. You can say what you want. We all know better. And there are still many JWs inside that know better. Anyways, guys, that's all I wanted to mention. You guys have a good day. I will talk to you soon.